Hello and welcome back to a new episode of Hartwig's Tech World. It's great to have you with us again after the weekend. I'm Hartwig.
And I'm Bianca. I feel a bit like an old vinyl record today. A few scratches here and there, but the classic still plays.
That's a great transition, because our first topic is exactly that, a technology that sent the vinyl record into retirement for good back in the day.
Oh, now I'm excited.
It's an incredible anniversary. Exactly 30 years ago, on July 14, 1995, the file extension .mp3 was established in the quiet German town of Erlangen, a German invention that would change the world of music forever.
Wow, 30 years already. Everyone knows MP3, but I've never really understood how it actually works. How can you make a huge music file so small without it sounding all tinny and awful?
Great question. The researchers at the Fraunhofer Institute used something called psychoacoustics. That's the science of how we perceive sound. You see, the human ear doesn't actually register all the sounds in a song. Quiet sounds are simply masked by louder ones. Imagine your alarm clock is ringing, you don't hear the clocks ticking anymore, even though it's still there. MP3 basically throws out exactly those inaudible sounds and saves a massive amount of storage space.
That's brilliant. So it's basically a trick that fools our brain. And I heard that a specific song played a huge role in this.
Absolutely. The inventors, led by Karl-Heinz Brandenburg, had a persistent problem. The compression always sounded terrible with one particular song. It was Tom's Diner by Suzanne Vega, the a cappella version. He listened to that song thousands of times to improve the algorithm until even that clear single voice sounded perfect. So you could say Suzanne Vega unintentionally became the mother of the MP3.
What a great story. So how did it become such a huge success? Did the record companies accept the invention with open arms right away?
Quite the opposite. They hated it. The breakthrough ironically came through piracy. A student bought the conversion software with a stolen credit card and put it online for free. That, combined with the file-sharing platform Napster, turned ripping CDs into a global pastime and forced the music industry into the digital age against its will. Only after that did legal services like the iTunes Store and Spotify emerge. From a technology that shrinks data to a tenth of its size, we now move to a new technology that increases the amount of data on a cartridge by more than tenfold.
That sounds like a contradiction. What could that be?
We're staying on the topic of storage, but looking far into the future. A British company called Hologram wants to replace the standard for long-term storage, the 70-year-old magnetic tape, with holograms.
Holographic storage? That sounds like something out of Star Wars. How is that supposed to work? Do they project the data into the air as a 3D image?
Not quite. Imagine it like this. Instead of magnetically writing data onto a tape, they use a laser to shoot tiny, three-dimensional holograms into a special light-sensitive polymer film. On a cartridge the size of an old cassette tape, you can store an incredible 200 terabytes instead of just 18 terabytes on today's most modern magnetic tape.
Wow, that's an insane storage density. What are the advantages besides the sheer amount of data?
The data is said to last for 50 years, consumes no energy during storage, and the material is extremely robust. But the biggest advantage is the cartridges have the exact same form factor as today's standard tapes. This means they can be used in the existing huge robot libraries in data centers without having to rebuild everything.
That's clever. When can we expect it?
It's still in the prototype stage, but the approach is so promising that it could truly revolutionize data storage for archives and large amounts of data. From storage media that push physics to its limits, we now move to a game that pushes the console's physics to its limits and completely on purpose.
Okay, that sounds strange again.
It is. Welcome to our Gaming Corner. The new game Donkey Kong Bonanza for the Switch 2, which is coming out soon, has visible stutters and frame rate drops in its trailers. And now the developer has said in an interview that's intentional.
Intentional? What developer voluntarily puts stutters into their game? That's usually the worst thing for gamers.
Yes, normally, but this game uses something called voxel technology. What are voxels? Imagine the entire world is built out of tiny 3D pixels, or Lego bricks. This allows the environment to be completely destructible. And when a lot of things break at once, meaning thousands of these 3D pixels have to be calculated simultaneously, the frame rate can briefly drop.
Okay, and instead of preventing that, Nintendo's just saying, we don't care as long as it makes a big bang.
That's exactly the philosophy. The director said they prioritized fun and the cool destruction physics over technical perfection. They'd rather have a short stutter and a massive screen-filling explosion than a small, boring explosion with a constant 60 FPS. That's typical Nintendo. The gameplay feel is more important than the raw technical specs. From a game where the developers deliberately make compromises to create a cool experience, we now come to a game series where the publisher apparently doesn't want to make any more compromises and is simply pulling the plug.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound like good news.
No, unfortunately. It looks like EA has put the legendary Need for Speed series on ice after 30 years.
What? Need for Speed? The series that basically all of us grew up with. Underground, Most Wanted? Why?
The signs are mounting. A journalist with close ties to EA confirmed it, and the entire development studio, Criterion Games, has been completely assigned to the new Battlefield 6. So, no one is actively working on a new Need for Speed right now.
Were the sales figures for the last few games that bad?
Yes, unfortunately. The last game, Unbound, was apparently a commercial disappointment. Many critics and fans felt the series had become too uninspired. The open but often lifeless world just wasn't as appealing as it used to be.
Is this the definitive end after 30 years and over 150 million copies?
It's unlikely to be forever, more like a long creative hiatus. EA certainly won't let the extremely valuable brand die, but they need to fundamentally rethink and reinvent it. But when and how that will happen is up in the air. And that's it for today. From the birth of the MP3 to the temporary death of Need for Speed, it was a real trip through time.
Absolutely. I learned today that some technologies are so good they only become successful through piracy, and some game series are so old they just need a creative break.
That's a perfect summary. If you enjoyed our little journey through the history and present of tech, then you know what to do.
Exactly. Leave us a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything, and leave us a comment. What was your favorite Need for Speed? We want to know. And to finish off, Hartwig, of course, has the saying of the day for you.
Right. The saying of the day, inspired by the MP3. Sometimes, you first have to leave out the unimportant things so the world can hear the important melody behind it.
That's almost philosophical. On that note, take care and see you next time.
Bye.